Ooh boy, welcome back yet again to another edition of the Bibs Corner Podcast. And if you're looking at this one, you're probably thinking, Bibs, you promised us this after the movie came out. It's been a month. Why are we just now getting this? Why are we getting this at all? Some of you may have hit play reluctantly because it's kind of late. It's very late. But I keep seeing people asking about it, and I finally put Top Gun in my official rankings for the year, and I have it tied neck and neck with Everything Everywhere All at Once for my favorite movie of the year. So it felt necessary. On top of that, I did the extra legwork of watching the 1986 movie. So, I put that extra time in. I might as well get some content out of it, right? So with that said, usually I do a spoiler-free review in the front, and then we get into the spoilers on the back end. In that spoiler-free section, I'm going to also talk about the 1986 movie. It has been out for 36 years. If you have not seen it, I only watched it right before I watched the new one. But if you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and exit out right now. If you care, I should say. If you care about having to see it before you see the new movie, exit out right now, because I am going to talk very thoroughly in the spoiler section or spoiler-free section about the 1986 Top Gun. I'm going to do it very briefly. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I am going to talk about it. My goal, I'm sitting down to record this now. I don't know how long this is going to end up being. My goal is to keep it pretty short. I want to keep it short and simple. I'm by myself. I don't need to do a back and forth, obviously, with somebody else. So I'm going to try to keep this short and simple. So let's get into it. Top Gun. First, the original Top Gun, right? Top Gun is one of those movies I always heard about when it came to, I want to say, I thought it was in the pantheon of classic movies, but when I said I was going to go back and watch the original before the new one came out, everybody was talking about how it was bad and this, that, and the third. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm so confused. Like, I just assumed this was a legendary movie. I know it's quotable. I know it has some iconic scenes, but I did not realize that everybody kind of laughed at this movie. And it was more of like a not underground, but like a people liked it for weird reasons type of thing. Like, it was not one that people point to as art, if you will. And I learned why very quickly after I watched the movie. It was very weird, very macho, 80s macho, like not today macho, because there was a lot of, it's Pride Month. And I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but it was a lot of homoerotic energy going on in that movie. The first thing that stood out for me, and I tweeted about this when I saw it, when Tom Cruise's Maverick meets Val Kilmer's Ice, like immediately I was like, are they flirting right now? Like, what is this? Because they didn't make it clear in the movie that it was a competitive thing between the two, that like they knew each other. I just felt like they were making eyes at each other and it looked romantic. As the movie goes on, there's a romantic interest between Maverick, Tom Cruise's character, and the instructor lady that they run into, which I thought was terrible. And by the end of the movie, to me, the interactions between Maverick and Ice, that was the real romance story in that movie. Now, I say that because if that had been the case, I would have felt it. Like it would have been real for me. And for me to take away any type of emotional depth from that movie, I had to feel that. Like that was the real romance story between Ice and Maverick, right? So let's get into the plot. If you don't know about the plot, basically Tom Cruise is Maverick. Tom Cruise is a pilot that doesn't play by the rules, if you will. He takes risks. He puts people in danger, basically, with his maneuvers and his decision-making out there in the air. But he gets forced to go to this Top Gun school where the top pilots in the Navy go to hone their skills in combat and blah, blah, blah. They want to make sure that they have some people ready to go if the time calls for it, because there's not a lot of air dogfights going on these days. They're trying to keep these guys frosty, right? So he gets forced. He and his partner Goose, or his wingman Goose, whatever, his buddy that sits behind him in the plane. I'm not going to pretend to know about these air terms, right? The guy that sits with him in the plane basically helps him spot things and allegedly make the right decisions when he's in the air. His man Goose, Anthony Edwards. They're forced to go because the guys who were going to go suddenly are shaken because of something that happened in the air, right? So he goes, he runs into Val Kilmer's character. They're all competitive. They're all fighting to see who's going to be the number one guy coming out of this thing, with these top pilots all going at it. There's an iconic beach scene where they're playing beach volleyball. Again, a lot of slow motion men hopping on the beach, sweating and whatnot, right? Again, the homoerotic energy was crazy in this movie. Especially for a time where they were supposed to be against that. But again, back in those days, maybe it was that was how they proved masculinity and whatnot. But in today's times, it's a hard watch. I mean, not hard watch in that sense, but it's hard to take it seriously, is what I should say. And again, people seem to act like nobody took it seriously back then either. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, during the course of the training, during the course of things occurring, Maverick, Tom Cruise's character, does something. The plane is going to go down. He and Goose have to eject. And during the ejection process, Goose breaks his neck. He as the top pops off of the plane, he hits it coming up and he dies. And there's a scene afterward where Tom Cruise is leaned over the sink in his drawers and supposedly feeling the pain, but it didn't feel real. The other part, again, I'll go back to the love story real briefly. Tom Cruise is this hotshot, goofy dude. The character's weird. I can't get into the character. That's why I don't have a lot to say about this character or this movie, but this instructor lady who's, I can't get involved with a cadet. She's serious. I think she's a little bit older, maybe. He challenges her on something and embarrasses her sort of in the first day. Somehow, some way she's into him. It doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing that occurs between the two that makes it make sense that she would be into him. Okay. But then they have this goofy romantic scene and blah 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 blah. By the end of the movie, he comes back and he's going to be an instructor at the flight school, and so he doesn't have to leave her, which was what they thought when they were at the end of the movie. He has to go, right? But then he's like, nah, I'm gonna come be an instructor, and it ends with them walking off into the sunset. Overall, the movie was hilarious in ways that it intended to be sometimes, but also in ways that I don't think it intended to be. My biggest problem with the old movie was the lack of emotional depth. Things are happening that are deep, but they didn't do a good job of paying it off. Again, the real love story for me was between Maverick and Ice, how they were contentious with each other. They sparred with each other and, oh, I bet you can't do this. I bet you can't do that. Oh, you take too many risks. They kept going at each other, but there was a love and respect at the same time. And then in the end, they come through for each other when something serious happens, and they both show each other love and respect at the end. They both, they come together, they bond, they grow. They started with the beef, they end with mad respect, much love, brother, and a big hug, right? That's the love story for me. That's what I had to take away from it. And then the bad love story with Maverick and the other guy. Now, going back to the deepest thing that happens in this movie, which is Goose dying, his partner dying. Before Goose dies, Goose's wife and son come to visit him at this academy. They have a good moment. They're playing the piano, and you know, the son's sitting on the piano. It's a beautiful scene, blah blah blah, and then he dies, and you know, they have a quick moment between Maverick and the wife, and then that's it. Oh, last part that I have to mention in the old movie before we transition to the new one. Maverick, his dad was allegedly I said allegedly, that was unnecessary. His dad was a pilot as well. His dad died in combat, but they kind of didn't explain what actually happened with his dad. Like he never knew what happened to his dad. He gets the answers in the movie, helps provide some clarity for him on what occurred, right? So he grew up knowing that his dad was a pilot who died, and like that's something that comes up a few times throughout the movie, and eventually he gets the answers as to what happened to his dad. All right, so let's move to the new one. So the new movie, 2022, again, 36 years after the fact. And before we get into the actual movie itself, let's get into the people who did not return. So the main person who did not return is the love interest from the first movie. Now, 36 years has been kind to Tom Cruise. 36 years has not been kind to the love interest. Her words, not mine. I'm old and fat. I don't fit this movie. I don't think I fit the image that they're going for with this movie, I should say. I believe she said something along those lines. So she is not in this movie. So they have to explain in this new movie why she's not here. We'll get into whether or not they executed that in a minute. Next piece is, why are we doing a new movie 36 years after the original? Is my math right? Yeah. Okay. 36 years after the original. Is it going to be worth it? Is it going to... This movie, I've been hearing about it forever. Is it going to live up to the hype? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? And I had doubts. I had questions. But because it was so hyped, I had to see it. I'm not a Tom Cruise fan. I do not go out of my way for Tom Cruise. I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie. Again, I had to let that breathe. I've never seen a Mission Impossible movie. I loved them in Live, Die, Repeat. I think I saw Jack Reacher. I think I enjoyed that as well. But I'm not a Tom Cruise guy. So, again, I don't 100%. I can't tell you why I wanted to watch this movie. Maybe the advertising was just that good. But I went, right? So in the new movie, I'm going to read the synopsis real quick. After more than 30 years of service as one of the Navy's top aviators, Pete Mitchell is where he belongs, pushing the envelope as a courageous test pilot and dodging the advancement in rank that would ground. Why is this? All right, that is, okay. I'm going to read a different one. Set 30 years after its predecessor, it follows Maverick's return to the United States Navy Strike Fighter Tactics Instruction Program, also known as U.S. Navy Fighter Weapons School or Top Gun, where he must confront his past as he trains a group of younger pilots, among them the son of Maverick's deceased best friend, Lieutenant Nick Goose Bradshaw. Boom. So there it is, right? The meat of the story is Goose's son, the little kid who was sitting on the piano with his dad playing and mom singing. He's now in the Navy. He's now a pilot. And apparently Maverick and he have not resolved their issues. Again, he was a little kid. He doesn't know what happened to his dad. Sound familiar? Yes, because that is what Maverick went through when he was at the Top Gun school. So right there, you have a nice meaty story by itself. Overall, and I'm gonna do this and then jump it straight into the spoilers. Overall, I mean, I just said it was one of my top 2 movies of the year. I really loved this movie. I felt like it did the exact opposite of the first movie. The first one had absolutely no emotional depth. The new one had all the emotional depth. I got emotional multiple times during this movie at different things. The love story, there, of course, you got to put a love story in there, right? The love story in this one worked for me. It made sense. It was mature. It was adult. The action between Maverick and Goose's son in this movie, played by Miles Teller, by the way, nickname is Rooster, was beautiful. Val Kilmer's emergence, his importance to this movie, huge. Again, great cast, great story, great execution. Jennifer Connelly plays the new love interest. John Hamm is there. A lot of young actors, mainly Jay Ellis is a guy I know. Glenn Powell is another good one. But a nice young cast, a good, fun young cast. I'm not going to go through everybody. I don't have the energy for that. But a lot of good young actors and actresses in this movie, as well as the older generation as well. I can't recommend this movie highly enough. And the only thing I hate is that I think you do need to know the first movie to fully enjoy it, like I did. But I don't think you need to know. They give you enough explanation in this one that you don't necessarily have to see it. Like they let you know about the Goose situation in this movie. Like it's laid out pretty clearly. And the rest of it you don't really need to know. Like the love interest even. It's addressed, but it's not in a way that you're gonna be like, what are they talking about if you didn't see the first movie. The situation between Maverick and Ice, Val Kilmer's character, is explained well enough that you don't need to know about all the details of what happened in the first movie. Again, I gave this a 4.8 out of 5. And I'm being picky by doing that. Could have gave it a 5 out of 5 easily, but I wanted to hold it back a little bit. 4.8 out of 5. Top movie of the year for me. And I'm trying to get into these spoilers. So let's do that. Now that we're getting into the spoilers, the main thing I want to talk about here is I want to talk about the emotional depth. I want to talk about that romantic angle I mentioned. I want to talk about Ice, and I want to talk about the parallels between the old movie and this one. Let's start with the romantic thing first. So that was the first thing that had to be addressed for me, since I knew the woman wasn't going to be in the movie. They introduce a new romantic interest for Maverick when he. So actually, let me start this. Let me go back a little bit. Actually, the movie begins with Maverick as a test pilot on a new, very, very expensive plane and a program that's about to get shut down, potentially. But they want him to push the limits of this plane, to be the first man to break, is it the sound barrier, light barrier? I don't know. It's going fast as hell. All right. And the scene is intense. It's fun. And it ends up being hilarious. And I'm talking like we're in the spoiler section. If you haven't exited yet, you haven't seen the movie, like this part is not spoiling too much, but it's hilarious. So he tests his plane. They tell him to stop because the plane is about to potentially fall apart. And but he doesn't. He goes to Mach 10, I believe, and like even pushes a little bit beyond because he's Maverick. He does what he wants, right? He ends up having to eject from the plane, and he's in the desert, and he walks into this diner like looking dirty and disheveled, and it looks like he's in a spacesuit, right? And so he walks into the diner and he walks up to the register and he says, "Where am I?" And there's a kid there, and the kid says, "Earth." And it's just like everybody in the theater died laughing in that moment. A great way to open the movie, a great way to loosen everybody up, have some fun, like right off the bat, right? So that happens, and then he gets called to this Maverick school, but they're going there to train for a real mission. Shit. It's been so long, and this is why I hate that I'm recording this so late after I watched the movie. I don't believe the cadets are made aware. Well, no, they are made aware that it's real. They just aren't aware of how serious it is. Like, it's really life or death, but they don't realize that initially. He knows, and he has to push them. So basically, they send him all the top people to train, and basically has to get them ready for this potential suicide mission. And he is the only one that they believe can push them to a potential where this maybe doesn't have to be a suicide mission. But they aren't sure. They're going to send him. They're going to give him a chance. And he has to get these people ready. And among these kids is Rooster, or Goose's son. Now, we learn in the movie that Maverick, blocked Goose's initial attempt to sign up for the Navy. Like, he stopped it. He did not want him in. Apparently, probably trying to protect him from the same fate as his father. And basically, this delayed him from getting into becoming a pilot, basically. And the kid has some resentment for him against this now, or against him for this. And we learn in the movie that it was actually his mother, who's apparently also passed away now. It was his mother's wish. She told Tom Cruise's character Maverick to make sure her son didn't get in. One of the things I enjoyed about this is that he did that, and he allowed the kid to hate him, rather than telling him that it was his mom's decision and making him hate his mom for it instead. Like in her, like, she's gone. She can't defend herself. She can't have that conversation with him. So what he would rather take the blame himself and allow that kid to not feel any type of way about what his mom did. Like, that's beautiful to me. I enjoyed that. But anyway, Miles Teller is not trying to have anything to do with this dude. And that's very clear throughout. Like, they're very contentious throughout most of the movie. They barely talk to each other. So there's one scene. The new love interest is is a bar owner. She owns a bar, maintains the bar. Apparently, he's been back and forth to this place in the past. They've had like an on again, off again, will they, won't they situation. She has a daughter who's very aware of who Maverick is. And they do that again here, where Tom Cruise tries to sneak in to be with her in the house. And then, like, the daughter comes home. She's not supposed to be there. And Tom Cruise tries to sneak out of the house, and like, he jumps out a window, and when he lands, the little girl is like right there, like looking at him. And he knows he's caught, and the little girl just tells him, like, don't hurt her again. Like, either be with her or don't, but don't play with her again. And that, his reaction to it, again, powerful, man. Like, the emotional depth that was not in the first movie, they knocked it out of the park in this one. The girl, her mom's vulnerable. Her mom, I believe she knows her mom wants this man, but he's playing games with her, and she can't have that anymore. The little girl can't have that for her mom. Beautiful. Another scene that was powerful is Tom Cruise's character. He does something against bar rules, and he has to buy everybody in the bar around or whatever. And they all take advantage of it. They all make fun of it. I think he does something else. I can't remember what it is exactly, but he ends up having to be thrown out of the bar, like in a hilarious fashion, but thrown out of the bar. And when he is thrown out of the bar, he hears the piano being played. And he walks back up and he sees Goose's son Rooster at the piano playing the same song his dad was playing in the first movie, and like having a ball with his friends. And like you can just see the devastation on his face that like damn, he really did grow up to be just like his father. And like it's reminding me of the friend that I feel responsible for, whose death I feel responsible for, and then like his son hates me. Again, powerful, man. Like all the emotional depth that the first movie did not have, this one made up for it. Now, the third piece of strong emotional depth was the Ice situation. So Ice is big time in the Navy now. He's powerful. He's the main one that has kept them from being able to kick Maverick out of the Navy pretty much. He's basically had his back. He's rose up through the ranks. Maverick has not, on purpose, but he keeps Maverick around. Every time Maverick is in trouble, he covers his back. He gives him more opportunities. He gives him a new assignments, whatever the case may be. So they remain tight, right? Again, that was the love story in the first movie for me. Val Kilmer, as we know in real life, is dealing with throat cancer. And they worked that into this movie. We hear about him, we hear about the things he's doing, but we don't actually see him for most of the movie. But there is a scene where Maverick goes to visit him and he's using a computer screen to communicate. Like he types it and it shows up on the screen, and that's how they're talking. But then he does say like one line, I believe. And again, it was a very powerful moment, not just for the movie implications, but the real life implications. And now in the movie, the character does end up dying as well. Again, more emotional depth. Like this was his guy. Like he lost his best buddy in the first movie, and now the other guy from the first movie who became his tight friend has now passed away. And it's like he's the last of the Mohicans on the old guard. And again, all this is paid off very well. Getting back to the parallels between the old movie and this one, they do have a beach scene. It's not beach volleyball this time. They do something different. They play like a football type game on the beach. Give me a second. I got to get better with my breath control on these solo pods because like I don't breathe and then my nose gets stuffy. I get lightheaded. Like it's bad when I do these solo pods. I got to get better at it. Anyway, so they do have the beach scene. Another parallel, the big parallel is that again, in the first movie, Maverick is dealing with not knowing what happened to his father. And the kids, the other cadets, and I haven't spent a lot of time talking about them in this movie. I don't have to, or in this review, I don't have to necessarily. I probably won't because I'm trying to keep this short. But they don't know about the issues between Maverick and the kid Rooster. They see the picture of Rooster's dad and Maverick together, and they're starting to put it together at some point. The parallels between Maverick having to deal with his dad having passed away and not knowing the whole truth and holding on to some emotions about that, again, that we don't really get into enough in the first movie, but having some feelings about that. And then in this one, Rooster having to go through that, even though Maverick is still the main character this time, having Rooster there, whose father has passed away, and like having to deal with working with the man who was in the plane with him when he passed away. That all worked for me on the reason for a sequel. And it's not forced, because this was one of the main points of the first movie, and he already had a son, so it's not like they just made up a son who was in the first movie, and now we get to see that kid grown up. And this he has neither one of his parents now, and the one guy who should be in his life as a father type figure, he has problems with, and that they can't talk out. When they get put in a position where it's the two of them on their own in the wilderness, when they go on this mission, which the action sequences are beautiful, amazing. The tension was real. The humor was great. Like, every part of this movie was great. I don't know how much I can say. Like, it wasn't all serious. It was funny at many, many points. And the humor was great. The tension was great. The action was great. Again, I was very tense throughout most of this movie. But when they end up behind enemy lines, basically, and it's those two, it's Tom Cruise, it's Miles Teller, and they have to be together and they have to work together. It was great. Like, it paid off well, and they communicated, and it's not perfect, and I like that again, Tom Cruise did not tell the kid that it was the mom's decision, but they talk it out and they survive, and it works. Oh, man, I really wish I had done this right after the movie, because I feel like I don't remember all the little details as much as I want to, but everything about, even on their way back, as there was a kid who thought he was the stuff, again, like Ice, who doesn't get sent on this final mission, but ends up in a position to save the day anyway. And that happens again in this one, again, in a way that, like, you could see it coming, but it still felt like a proper payoff. He was in like a reserve role, and there's the potential that Maverick and the kid are not going to make it back all of a sudden, because they had to do some clandestine stuff, right? And the other kid, who again was the hot shot, who ends up not being on the actual mission, he ends up coming out and saving the day at the last second, like Val Kilmer's Ice character did in the first movie. I don't think you need another one. I haven't even looked to see if there are any rumors about another one, but for a long, like, Mad Max Fury Road is an example of a movie with a long delayed sequel that was truly amazing, paid homage to the originals, did its own thing, and made it great. Top Gun 2, Top Gun Maverick is in the same category with Mad Max Fury Road. I hope for many, many award nominations. Again, I'm not a Tom Cruise guy. This is just a really great movie. I said it coming out of Black Phone, like, cinema's back, movies are back. This is such a strong year for film so far. And I know people are tired of sequels, but even the sequels and remakes have been good so far this year. I've had so much fun. I've only seen 18 movies this year, but I've had so much fun. I can only say with a straight face that maybe 2 movies I've seen this year have been bad. 3. Morbius, Firestarter. Morbius and Firestarter really are the only ones that are bad. Uncharted was like, okay, maybe some people enjoy this. And then everything else is either okay to great, or amazing in the case of Top Gun and Everything Everywhere All at Once. X, The Black Phone, Death on the Nile, Hustle, all great movies. The Northman Men, The Batman, very good. Doctor Strange, Scream, good. Ambulance, The Lost City, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I'm not gonna say those are art, but there were fun moments in those movies. And if you're into either the action or the buddy adventure genre, then you'll have fun with those movies. Like, it's a good year for movies, and I need to dig in and watch a lot more to catch up. But I'm having fun with this year, and Top Gun, it belongs in that conversation of great movies of the past 5-10 years, maybe. We'll see when the dust settles. It's early, right? But man, I hope this wasn't too disjointed. I feel like I ramble often on these reviews, but I usually give good feedback. So if I ramble a lot, you're tired of me rambling, let me know, man. I need that feedback. I'll try to be more organized about these things in the future. But that's it. I wanted to try to keep this kind of short. I think it's about 35 minutes. Thank you again for tuning in for the Bibs Corner Podcast. Top Gun, super late review. I'm not sure what I'm going to review next. I'm not sure. I'm going to start doing more of these, though. So I'm giving you 2 back-to-back to apologize for my delay. But I promise I'm going to do better. But until next time, peace.